To bring in Robert Costa. And Robert, a lot of the discussion is about Joe Biden and his legacy, protecting that legacy. That's in part, I think, why he chose not to seek re-election. He is throwing his weight behind his Vice President Kamala Harris. But is it clear tonight that she has the nomination? Who else may jump in?
We're looking at a Democratic Party that's convulsing tonight. Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, who just registered as an independent, a longtime centrist Democrat. CBS News has now learned he is considering re-registering as a member of the Democratic Party to consider standing for the Democratic presidential nomination, in effect challenging Vice President Harris for that nomination. He has not made a final decision based on our conversations with people close to him, but he is considering it tonight. He's talking to donors. He's talking to party officials. His consideration underscores how some Democrats are nervous about Vice President Harris's ability to beat former President Donald Trump, who I just spoke with about an hour or two ago. He told CBS News that he's prepared to have a political onslaught against Vice President Harris or whomever emerges as the nominee. I asked him, are you ready to debate Vice President Harris? He says, not at all, because I'm not even sure I'm going to be running against her. Let's see what happens.
And Nora, just to give you a sense of how fast moving this is, Senator Joe Manchin was on Face the Nation at 10:30 this morning and said, it's time for a new generation. Forget about me. Between 10:30 a.m. this morning and right now, there is a reconsideration.
That's like a month ago in politics, Margaret.
That's right. Well, so much has changed just today. I want to bring in our senior White House correspondent, Weijia Jiang, because she is outside the vice president's residence. And Weijia, what do we know about what the vice president is doing at this hour?
Well, Nora, we know that she is in Washington, D.C., of course, but we have not seen her in public at all today. She spoke with President Biden earlier when he called her before he made the big announcement. They had a private conversation, and then she spent the day reaching out to members of Congress, including House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. And, of course, we just saw in the past week how powerful these congressional leaders can be, and she certainly knows that, having served in the Senate. So she made immediate direct outreach to them to try to shore up support. And, you know, she has been talking to advisors, too, to try to process all of this and to try to answer the million-dollar question that everybody wants to know, which is, who is she going to pick as a running mate? And, you know, that question is really, who can bring something to the ticket that she cannot? Who can bring what Joe Biden could? Of course, there's huge overlap there. And who can offer something to those voters in the critical battleground states that will likely determine this race? And so there have been many names that have already emerged, Nora, including Democratic governors of Roy Cooper of North Carolina. We should point out that they just stumped together on the trail in Fayetteville, North Carolina this past week. Andy Beshear of Kentucky, Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, who she also spoke with today, according to an aide. But she could also pick somebody in the Biden cabinet, because she is not only running on her personal record, she is running on the record of the Biden-Harris administration. So if you were to choose a secretary, Pete Buttigieg, Gina Raimondo, these are people who have already been out spending the better part of the past year campaigning for President Biden. And so today, the team says there's no timeline, no discussions in public about when she might choose. But of course, Nora, we know it has to be soon.
Weijia Jiang, outside the vice president's residence, thank you very much.